Welcome to A Magical Life, Health, Wealth and Weight Loss. I'm your host, Magic Barclay, lead practitioner at Holistic Natural Health Australia and #1 best-selling author. In this podcast, I aim to give you practical tips on how to accelerate and sustain your health, increase your financial, spiritual and emotional wealth, and to look at something that haunts many of us needlessly, weight loss. In some episodes, I'll have guests available to give you even more tips, but in others, the floor is yours. Drop us a line at A Magical Life Podcast on Facebook and let me know what you would like to know more about. Now, sit back and enjoy, because it is time for you to create and truly discover a magical life. Welcome back to A Magical Life. I'm your host, Magic Barclay, and this is your episode 93. I'm again joined by Brent German, master trainer and practitioner of hypnotherapy, neuro-linguistic programming, and timeline therapy. Welcome back, Brent.
Hey, Magic, how you doing?
Great. How are you going?
Yeah, I'm excellent.
Excellent. Now, in episode 92, we did discuss many of the things that we cover with all of our guests in this podcast. But I want to learn more about what you do. Now, your company is I Know Your Yes. Can you please explain that for the listeners?
Yeah, it took me about 3 months to work out that business name, actually, on the website. I can find out intuitively all your answers for your life that you need going forward. So that's why I chose that website. I've got about 15 different tools, but the main one I use is NLP anchoring, or neuro-linguistic programming anchoring. And so for those of you listeners out there that are, if you think you're analytical brain or you overthink, it'll take me about an hour to change your subconscious mind to get you going forward. But if you're an open person like me, it takes me about 5 minutes. And I've done this over the last 14 years. I've done this NLP anchoring. But what it does, we're human, right? So at the end of the day, we're either going to have good time, good days, bad days. And that's just life. I say life's like a heart rate monitor. It goes up and down all day. So what the NLP anchoring does is if you're having a bad day, within a split second, with the anchoring I do, it puts you into a positive mindset straight away. So that's the main tool that I use. Would you like me to expand on a little bit on how I do it?
I would love that.
I'll give you an example. So I say, tell me what the best day of your life is. Then I'll pause and they'll tell me some things. For most people, there's no correct answer here, but for most people, some examples of what the best day of life is: the day they've had their first child, it's always generally the first, the day they got married, the day they passed uni, the day they landed that job, but it could be something else. So I found out what that is, and intuitively, I will let them know what the best day of their life is. And then I use the NLP anchoring tool to anchor that in their subconscious. So a few weeks ago with a client, he was living with his girlfriend. They were in love with each other, but they moved out. So one of the many tools that I used was NLP anchoring. And within 4 sessions, they were destined not to get together again. He's actually moved back in and things are going better than they were when he was living there. So find out what the best day of life is. So for any listeners out there, I'd like to know what the best day of life is. And intuitively, I can tell you whether that's correct or not, because I can see myself at your event of the best day of your life. So that's what I do.
Sounds very interesting. Now, we talked in episode 92 about some of the losses that you've been through with your family.
Mm-hmm.
Many listeners may have a loss in a family, certainly in the times that we're living in. You know, there's a lot going on, a lot of illness, loss, worry. How would you suggest that the listeners separate how they're feeling from who they are?
Well, don't turn to alcohol and drugs. That's just a mask. Well, how I did it, when Mum passed, a saying I use with myself and all my clients is life's short. And I'd given up golf in 1996 when Mum passed. And I decided to start playing golf seriously again. Hadn't played golf seriously for 7 years. But what I did, I used to always use this. Pretend Mum's going to come back to earth for 30 seconds. And what would she like to see with me? She knew I loved golf. So I wanted to win a club championship for her. And starting golf again, and for those golfers out there, golf is very mentally taxing. If you're not mentally capable, it's very hard to play good golf. And I was playing at a good level. And golf actually got my life back on track. So one thing is, if you stop playing a sport, because sport makes you feel good, you're moving, you're physical, get out there and do it again. Just go and do it, even if you're not having fun. I just went and did it. I didn't like it for a while because I couldn't focus mentally. I put too much pressure on myself to the perfect golf shot every shot. But I just kept on grinding through. And after about a year and a half, mentally, I was fine. And then what I did, and I still believe sometimes you have to lose before you can win. In 1999, I had a chance to win the club championships, which is the best golfer at that golf club for that year. And at Cobram, I lost. But the next year, I was a lot mentally tougher and I was more determined and I had more confidence. But I won the club championships the following year. And but what I did, it was quite funny, but it was raining that day. I walked up the steps when I'd won, and my mates were in the clubhouse saying, "Did you lose?" I said, "No, I'm so happy that I won this club championship for Mum. I'm just overwhelmed with emotion." So I only went in for one beer, then went home to bed. I was buggered mentally. But so that's what I did. Went outside of myself and did something for my mum because I wanted to pretend that she'd come back to earth and she saw that I'd won a club championships for her. No one taught me that. I taught that myself. I don't know where I got it from, but that just happened. But I did the same thing when I became a golf pro. So to be a golf pro in Australia, it's 80 hours a week. You're playing 30 golf tournaments a year with heaps of pressure. You have to have good scores every year and better every year to get through. But I remember it was in May, not long after my birthday at Tokemall, where I was playing this pro event and I hit a wedge on the green to about 30 feet away. I just started bawling my eyes out. And I only remember one of the guys I was playing with, Chris, and my nickname's Bowser. He said, "Bowser, you all right?" I said, yeah, you probably don't know this about me, but about 7 years ago, my mum died. And one of the main reasons I wanted to be a golf pro, well, I love golf, number one, and you know that, but I wanted to also do this for my mum. So I cried the whole way, 130 metres. The whole last hole, I couldn't even see when I putted. And for those golf pros that know me out there, if you're listening, I don't mind a beer after golf. Chris goes, "You come in for a beer?" I said, "Mate, I'm just too mentally tired." He goes, "No, I understand." So that's what I did. I didn't actually do it for me. I did it for my mum on the proviso that I pretended she's going to come back to earth for 30 seconds and just see what I'd done for her. So that's what I did.
Well done.
Haven't read in the book. No one told me to do it. I just did it. But that was one thing that got me through.
Well done. Now, in the notes that we've been sending backwards and forwards with each other, you've mentioned that there are 3 pillars of psychology that can help enhance anyone's life. What are they?
Number 1's physiology. 2 is your state of mind or focus. And 3 is language. So if you're stuck, I'll put it in layman's terms. So physiology, move. So if you're not doing exercise, just go and walk 10 minutes a day. You got to start moving because if you get in your head, you're dead. And I will apply a lot of different tactics to physiology, but basically that means just move your body. You know, when we were kids, we moved all the time. Even doing star jumps is quite energetic and it gets you moving. And so when you get moving, you actually get out of your head, get out of your thinking head. You can't be sad or depressed or anxious because when you're moving, you can't be those things. state of mind or focus. Well, that's what I use with the NLP anchoring technique. I can give you a trigger or a tool so you can change your state of mind in an instant. And that's a big strength of mine with my clients. But just changing your state can be something as simple as, what's your favorite song? Especially an energetic one. What song makes you feel good? Just play it flat out, whether it's at home or in the car or on your earphones, whatever. But play a song that makes you happy. And for me, my favorite song back in the day is Black Betty by Ram Jam. So I love that song. And all my mates know I love that song. So just play some happy songs. And number 3 is language. And I cover this with all my clients all the time. And I'm very quick to pick up on people's language. Because if we just give you an example, and I want you to say this to yourself, I feel bad. So for me, where do I feel that in the body? That's the wrong way, by the way. I feel it in my stomach. Now let's flip that. Say, I feel fantastic. So where I feel that is in my heart. I feel good. I feel positive about that. So it's hard to actually change your language yourself, because it's hard to be aware of self. But swear words are very negative. Try to cut your swear words out even, because they generally got a negative attachment to them. So they're a few of the things I cover, and everyone's individual. But in my first session with a client, and I normally do 6 as a minimum, I actually notice the language they're using, and I spend a whole hour on language. I give them some homework, and we'll come back. And people start to understand the power of words, on how good words and bad words make them feel. So that's how I help people change their physiology, or them.
Great. Now, we're going to wrap it up here, and I really love to offer my listeners freebies. So you've mentioned that for the first listener that contacts you with Brent German Coach, they'll receive a freebie of the NLP anchoring technique. They'll do that with you, and that's valued at over $260. That is very generous. Thank you.
No problem.
People can find you on Facebook at Brent German, or Facebook at How to Survive the Death of a Loved One, or also on Facebook, Win Against All Odds, and on Facebook at How to Cure Anxiety Without Drugs and Alcohol. You're also on Instagram at Brent German Coach. Thanks so much for joining us and sharing all of your amazing expertise. Listeners, coming up in episode 94, we have Tom Palladino teaching us about scalar energy. Now, that is absolutely amazing. I've had a look at his website. I can't wait to speak with him. But listeners, for now, go forth and create your magical life. Thanks for listening today. Please subscribe to hear future episodes, leave a review, and share this podcast. You can follow us on Facebook at A Magical Life Podcast, or at Holistic Natural Health Australia. That's holistic with a W. You can find us on Instagram at Holistic Natural Health, or at www.holisticnaturalhealth.com.au. That's where you'll access all sorts of articles, freebies, and more.